Well, hello, everyone. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. Welcome to our webinar. We are going to talk about exploring business school in the Middle East. We have a terrific guest who is in Abu Dhabi right now. He is Robert Solomon. He's the Dean of NYU Stern's NYU Abu Dhabi campus. We want to talk about really a new and exciting program. It's a one-year MBA that allows students to study in Abu Dhabi, but also to come to NYU Stern in New York. Robert, tell us about the program.
Yeah, sure. Happy to be here and thank you for inviting us. So our program is a one-year full-time MBA program. And when we were thinking about opening this program, we looked at the region and we said, what's going on in this region? Is this region ready for a top-tier full-time MBA program? And there were a couple of themes that kept popping up. The first one was that this is one of the fastest growing, most dynamic economic areas in the world. It has had systematic growth, pretty consistent systematic growth over the last 15 years or so. And I think absent countries like China or India, the growth in this place has mimicked some of the growth that we've observed in those markets. So from a growth perspective, this was the right place to be. And when we started investigating and talking to employers, what employers started telling us too was that the number one thing that they were looking for was managerial talent. So we thought, why not? We already have a campus. NYU Abu Dhabi has a campus in Abu Dhabi proper. And we thought now was the right time to bring Stern and the Stern School of Business to Abu Dhabi. So that was the impetus and the motivation for bringing the program here in the first place.
Makes total sense. And I should say that really NYU Stern is the only top school offering an MBA program in this region of the world. And I think it's also interesting that, the Middle East really does not have a world-class business school. You don't have a peer there, in other words. So that's really a good place to be. Now, I know, Robert, you were, intimately involved in the design of the program. Take me through some of the early thinking and how you put together the curriculum and why.
Yeah, sure. So the reason that we decided on a one-year program was severalfold. The first one was we wanted to offer people something that was different from what we offer in New York. In New York, we have the traditional 2-year full-time MBA program that many schools offer, not just in the United States, but also in Western Europe and even in East Asia. So we wanted to offer something that was a little bit different. And we looked at our MBA program and we said, all right, well, an MBA program, which lasts about 20 months or so, if you take out the summer breaks, and you take out the spring breaks, and you take out the winter breaks, and you take out the holidays, is really only about 13 and change months long. So why not just go through, make it 12 months straight through, get rid of all those breaks, and make it an accelerated program? And that provides the students some benefits. The first is it keeps them out of the workplace for a shorter period of time. They can get back to working and finding a job quicker. They get the same curriculum, the same level of rigor in the program itself, because it is the same program, just in a shorter time frame. It's not like we're taking anything away. So we're able to get a full MBA program done in 12 months. And one of the other reasons I think that works here in this market, and one of the other reasons we decided to go ahead with the 12-month full-time accelerated MBA, was because if you look at this market, this region more generally, not just Abu Dhabi or Dubai or the UAE, but the broader MENA region, there doesn't seem to be as much of a typical hiring schedule as there is in the US and Western European markets. So typically, in those markets, the banks come and interview in September, and the consulting companies come in October, November, and the tech companies come in January. And they come for internships, to hire for interns, and then they come on a cycle to hire for full-time the following year. Here, there isn't that real systematic internship structure. And there isn't like that, okay, these companies come at this time of year to come hire. So here, we weren't really beholden to an already existing recruitment schedule like what exists in in the United States or in Western Europe. And so that allowed us too to also take a chance and offer an off-cycle January to December, not a traditional 2-year September to May program. So it's a 1-year January to December accelerated. We go straight through and get it done.
So tell me a little bit about the program itself. So the core is composed of how many courses, how many electives do you have? Have you designed courses that are specific to the region? Or even in the core, maybe you have case studies that are involved with organizations or companies in the Middle East?
Gosh, now you're making me think back to the days when we were designing the curriculum. I want to caveat this with I may be getting this slightly off,
That's fine.
but more or less, I hope that directionally the information I'm giving you is correct. I think the core includes 10 classes, if I'm doing my math correctly.
Uh-huh.
And then the electives include something like 6 to 8 courses. So it's designed just like our MBA program in New York City. The core is the same, more or less, as the core in New York. And then they will have a set of electives to choose from in the back half of the year. So the first 6 months are largely dedicated to the core. The next 6 months are largely dedicated to electives. And yes, we will be offering electives that are that resonate more for this region or this area. And students will have the opportunity to take courses in areas. So, for example, a course on sustainability isn't sort of necessarily geared towards this market, but it's something that is very, very important in this market. So that's something that, we'll be offering that we think is more relevant here. And then we're offering courses. For example, when the students go to New York in the summer, there's a class called DBI New York, Doing Business in New York. So this way students can gain a perspective of what it's like to do business in another market that's not the UAE, that's a global market like New York, and how doing business in a place like New York differs from doing business in a place like Abu Dhabi. So they're getting all these kinds of courses and programming that is relevant not just for here, but also relevant for people who want to be leaders in a global marketplace.
And I'm imagining that to the extent that you have experiential learning in the program, it
Right.
would likely be in Abu Dhabi with organizations that are in the Middle East.
That's right. And that was the one thing that I wanted to come back to as well. So we do have this course when the students spend their summer in New York called DBI New York. And there they learn about doing business in New York and the nuanced differences between doing business in New York as a global capital and Abu Dhabi as a global capital. Now, we also, because this program doesn't have an internship, we designed into it an experiential project-based internship course. So the students actually have 2 projects through the 12 months. They have 1 project during the 4 months that they're in Abu Dhabi at the beginning of the program, and then 1 project during the 4 months at the end of the program when they're in Abu Dhabi, where they do a live project for a company operating in the local environment. And that's where they get that learning about how to do business in Abu Dhabi, how to do business in this region. And they work on projects that help those companies in this region. I can't share too much about those projects because we have a launch event next week where we'll be providing a lot of statistics about the class and the projects that they're working on. But the kinds of companies that they're working with are truly exceptional, the ones that they'll be working with on these projects.
And I should point out to people who are interested in the program that if you don't have an internship, having these experiential learning projects is essential because it gives you something that's compelling to talk about in your job interviews, right?
Absolutely. It gives you the opportunity to experience what it's like to work in that particular company. Is this a company I might like to work for in the future? It gives you an opportunity to get a sense for, is this the kind of job or industry that I'd like to work in after the program's over? And it also gives the company itself a look-see into a group of students to see if these are the kinds of students that they might want to retain after they graduate from the program. So it gives those students experience to talk about when they're interviewing, and it also gives them a sense for, is this a company I like? Is this a job I like? Is this an industry I like? Is this the kind of work I can see myself dedicating my career to?
So you spend 8 months in Abu Dhabi, and then you spend the remaining time in the 12 months in New York City, right?
That's right. It's January to May in Abu Dhabi, May to August in New York, August to December back in Abu Dhabi.
Wow. Now, I should point out that NYU has a pretty significant presence in Abu Dhabi with a fair number of students. This is Stern's first foray there with the accelerated MBA program. When did you enter your first cohort?
So again, our first cohort, it's on our website. The program has started, so that is
Right.
that's not news that I'm divulging that isn't publicly available. Uh, we are having a launch event on February 10th, where we will be sharing all kinds of details about the class, the program, some of the companies that we've been involved with on these internship projects that I described before. But I don't want to, I might have to keep people in a little bit of suspense for about 10 more days before we
Sure.
officially release data on the class and more specifics about this particular year's program. But the intake itself happens in January. The program starts in January. We are now going through our second year's worth of admissions. So applications are open. The first deadline for admissions to the 2026 class, the first deadline just passed last week or 2 weeks ago. We have 3 other deadlines, application deadlines coming up.
Right. And we should tell people right now, and we'll tell them later before we end our conversation, how do they register for your event on February 10th?
That's a really good question. I don't know specifically how they register for the event. What I would suggest is if people are interested, they should go to the website, which is the Stern NYU Abu Dhabi website, and they can register their interest for the program, for the MBA program. That will put them or register them on our list of interested potential candidates. And my guess, although again, I haven't been involved in sending out the invites for the public event that we're holding, but my guess is that's the way that you would express interest and that we know of your interest and we can extend an invitation for the opening.
Terrific. Tell me a little bit about what kind of students you're seeking. Are they only people in the Middle East, or is it open to anyone? In terms of age and work experience, is there greater latitude than the traditional smaller, narrow window for a full-time MBA program?
Our goal is to, in as much as possible, to look like our program in New York City with the quality of candidates that we have in New York City. When it comes to, so that from an experience standpoint, from a GPA standpoint, from a GMAT standpoint, from whatever the other tests are that people take. I know people take EAs, they take GREs. There are some people who qualify for a waiver for testing, given the undergraduate institution that they went to, their undergraduate GPA, and what they studied in their undergraduate program. But in that respect, we are looking for quality that is on par with the quality that we have in New York City. That's our goal. Where are we looking for students? And this is a global program. We are welcoming students from anywhere in the world. Anyone who has an interest in an MBA and who meet the criteria is welcome to the program, welcome to apply to the program. And what I would say, though, is that the one thing that we are looking for is students who have a desire to build their careers and to contribute to business and economic growth and development here in the region. So specifically Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and the broader MENA region. So again, it's not like we're looking for students only from one country. We are welcoming to students from any country, but we are looking for people who want to be here, who want to build their careers here. And I think there's a compelling reason to want to be here. As I was mentioning before, it's one of the most dynamic, fastest growing markets, consistently growing markets in the world. And it's attracting so many people who've come over here over the last few years. Hundreds of thousands have come to the UAE over the last few years. New businesses are opening every single day. We're seeing it right here in Abu Dhabi with new financial institutions and institutional investors opening up almost a weekly basis.
Now, what kind of faculty teach in the program? Are you basically sending NYU Stern professors on planes to Abu Dhabi, or do you have a resident faculty? How are you staffing the program?
We aren't relying on faculty in New York to teach in the program here. Just as we are in New York, in and of the city, in and of New York City, we want to be in and of Abu Dhabi. And we have already a campus here. NYU Abu Dhabi has been here for 15 years.
Right.
NYU Abu Dhabi itself has 2,000 students, over 2,000 students, largely undergraduate students, but they have a sitting faculty here. Our commitment as the Stern School of Business at NYU Abu Dhabi was to replicate that. So we've been hiring faculty that are here in Abu Dhabi, attached to Stern in Abu Dhabi. As of today, we have about 14 faculty members that are here, and we are growing. That they're based out of here, and that faculty is growing. We will be ready to have our faculty with the same standards that we have in New York in hiring faculty, dedicated research faculty that we will have here in Abu Dhabi that will teach the courses. Now, when the students go to New York, the nice thing is they'll get classes taught by faculty members in New York City. So they'll get to interact with our New York faculty as well. But most of that will happen during the modules when they're in New York, not here in Abu Dhabi. Here in Abu Dhabi, they'll be taught by the Stern faculty that are here in Abu Dhabi, that are part of the broader Stern community.
And you've recruited a fairly sizable support staff as well, right?
Yeah, right now we have about 28 or 29 as of last count administrators. And if you think about what we're aiming for is one cohort at the beginning, so figure about 50 students, that is an exceptional amount of support.
For sure.
We're almost one-to-one faculty and staff to the number of students that we intend to have in this full-time MBA program.
Wow. That's amazing, including, of course, career support, which is essential, right?
Yeah, that's right. And our career staff is ready. We have a now almost a full career support team. I think we have 8 members of the career support staff, what we call our CMC, the Career Management Center. We have a full slate of coaches who are working with students, and they're ready to welcome the next class as well.
Now, when I think of the Middle East, immediately I think of energy, of course. But the Middle East has many industries, and I'm wondering, from your standpoint, as someone who is on the ground there and who has studied global business, is the range of industries that are available to graduates similar to the range elsewhere?
I would think so. So if you think about this region, for sure, it was, the story of the development of the region can't be told without the story of energy and oil in particular, right?
Right.
Now, what the countries in this region, the UAE in particular, has been trying to do is diversify their economy away from reliance on oil for a variety of reasons. One of the reasons is that at some point, oil will run out. Another is that all of the climate consequences associated with burning petroleum, and the third is, at some point, and this is related to those first two, consumers are moving away. And consumers are saying, look, given what we know about climate change and the changing nature of the world, we are not going to be users of oil for that much longer. So there's a demand move away from that too. And so having that in mind, the UAE has invested in, okay, what are the next industries that are going to carry the UAE into the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th centuries. And so they're making those investments today with the goal of having those industries ready moving forward. So you are seeing a lot of different industries, not just energy, but a lot of different industries growing here. And yes, I mean, energy is important, but the growth here, a lot of the growth is in sustainable energy, alternative energies. So that's a big growth area here. So that's one. Another is finance. So one of the ways that Abu Dhabi refers to itself is as the capital of capitals. It has, or the capital of capital. It has some of the world's largest sovereign wealth funds here. And as a result, they're attracting a lot of institutional investors, a lot of investment companies here into the region that are investing not just abroad, but also increasingly investing in companies here in the region as well. So it's not just energy, alternative energy, finance, real estate is, there's a really sophisticated real estate industry here and a growing real estate industry here. Tourism, I think about Dubai and how Dubai has really been able to grow its tourism industry. Consulting is one of the fastest growing industries here. Technology, a tremendous amount of investment from the UAE in technology, and not just here limited to the UAE, but also other countries in the MENA region as well are making huge investments in technology. So when it comes to jobs for our students, my guess, and it's a little bit too early because we haven't graduated a class yet, but my guess is that the top 3 industries, so we'll get to check this next year if I was right or not. And I've been wrong a lot in my life, and I'm sure I'll be wrong again. But if I had to guess today, my guess is that the top 3 placements for, well, the top 3 jobs or industries that our students end up accepting positions in would be consulting, banking, and technology.
Yeah,
And when I think about that, that's not too different from schools in the United States or in Western Europe.
absolutely. That's pretty much how it is elsewhere. Exactly.
Yeah, and I anticipate it'll be similar here. I bet we'll see a little bit more sustainability type roles here than we might in other markets. I
Uh-huh.
expect that I think we'll see a little bit more energy here than we see in other markets. But and a little bit more government roles here than we might see in other markets. But other than that, I think the 3 biggies will remain the same: consulting, banking, finance, tech.
The other thing I would think is that there is great demand for professional management. When you think about North America or Europe, there are plenty of schools supplying professional managers to industry. But that's less true in the Middle East. And with this growth, this economic growth occurring there, I would think there's a great demand for people who are well trained in, business frameworks and bringing sophistication to business. Am I
And
right?
that's consistent with what we were hearing when we were studying whether we wanted to enter this market. And this wasn't a short journey for us. This took over 3.5 years before we finally decided that it was the right time to enter the market. But what you said is absolutely consistent with what we were hearing from folks we were speaking with on the ground. Managerial skills was the number one thing that they said when we were talking with learning and development folks here, with HR professionals here, with C-level with C-level folks here. Over and over and over, that was a recurring theme: is that we need people with managerial skills and sophisticated managerial knowledge.
What's been the biggest challenge, Robert, in setting up the program in Abu Dhabi?
Ooh, so a few. It's a little bit like the Field of Dreams dilemma. Like, if you build it, will they come?
Right.
And so the process of building it, it takes a long time to build a new program. Not just a new program, but in essence, we're building a new school, a new
Yes.
business, the Stern School of Business at NYU Abu Dhabi. So many things: hiring faculty, hiring talented staff, and administrators, getting regulatory approvals to start a program. So we had to get approvals in the US and New York because part of the program is based in New York. We had to get
Mm.
approvals here in the UAE from the UAE regulators and the Abu Dhabi regulators in order to offer degree programs. The level of complexity was just a lot greater because we were doing something new in a new market for us. And John, you and I were speaking a little bit before we started the webinar, and you asked me what it was that I did. What was as a faculty member, my specialty was in globalization and global strategy. And one of the things that I always used to teach was that it's harder and it takes longer than you think to establish operations in a new market because you don't understand it as well as you understand your own home.
True.
You don't have the relationships in that market that you have in your own home. And all of those things I've discovered to be true, that it just takes longer and it's slightly more complex to get things done when you're operating in a completely new market. And for us, this wasn't completely new because NYU Abu Dhabi, like I said before, had 15 years
Right.
worth of experience. But it was the
Yeah.
first business school of this caliber to offer such a program. And we've learned a lot. So that was the main challenge is learning all of those things.
So in a way, you're kind of a startup, aren't you?
In so many ways. We were just reminiscing today in the office that when we first started, so as little as June or May of 23, so like 18 months ago or so,
Mhm.
we had 0 employees. And
Wow.
today we have 42, 43 employees. Yeah, we were
Wow.
a startup. We were reminiscing today that our first office here in Abu Dhabi was in a makeshift apartment because there was no other space for us. So there was a group of 4 or 6 of us working out of an apartment. We had a couple people in the living room, people in the bedrooms.
Wow. So instead of a garage, you had an apartment.
Yeah, we had an apartment on campus. That was our office. So yeah, I mean, we were totally a startup.
That's remarkable.
A startup
Um,
with, the nice thing though is we were a startup that we were able to leverage, almost 125 years worth of Stern's experience in business education and 15 years worth of NYU Abu Dhabi's, local market expertise and academic excellence. But, still we a lot of things we just had to figure out from scratch.
right. Now, of course, graduates of the program will be part of a global network from NYU Stern. And the fact that the university itself has been there for a number of years and educating largely undergraduates means that you'll be part of that network as well, right?
Yeah. So the graduates of this program will graduate with a Stern MBA, just like any other Stern MBA. So they'll be welcome to the Stern alumni community, a community that's over 100,000 strong. Again, this might be one of those areas where I get something slightly wrong. Like I don't remember the exact number of core courses versus the exact, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, that Stern has, if not the largest alumni base of any business school in the United States, it has among the largest alumni bases of any business school, not just in the United States, but also in the world. The graduates of this program will become part of that community. And we have a vibrant alumni community already in the UAE. We have a number of folks living, working here who graduated from our New York program. And I'll come back to that in a second. But beyond that, you also mentioned we had alumni from NYU Abu Dhabi, and
Right.
that's several thousand strong as well. And about 60% of those, after they graduated from their undergraduate program, stayed here in the market. So NYU has a very, very strong network here in the UAE and even in the broader Middle East. I'll give you an example, just of the Stern side of it. So when we first started coming here as a startup, we needed help. I mean, we couldn't do all of it on our own. And one of our first calls was our alumni group. So not only did our alumni say, yeah, absolutely, what can we do? But now we have an alumni council, a Stern alumni council
Hmm.
here in the local market for us. And we meet with them regularly to say, to give them updates on the program, to hear what their companies are doing, what they're looking for. Are they hiring? Are they not hiring? And our ask to them was simple. You received an amazing education at Stern. You know the caliber of student that we produce. We are asking for your help. We are relying on you guys to look out for our students. The best thing that we have is our alumni. And they are amazing in the United States, and I expect they'll be equally amazing here at interviewing, hiring our graduates. They blew me away with how they were just like, anything you need. They're coming to do, I think it's in March, they're coming to do an event with the students where it's all the alumni council is coming to meet with the students to talk with them about careers, to try and help them, to mentor them. And we've established these connections already between the students, the career services, the career management center, and the alumni. So they've helped us get contacts in their companies. They've helped us. They're coming in to do lunch and learns with the students, fireside chats. I can't say enough about how amazing our alumni here have been.
That's terrific. So if someone is interested in the program, wants more information, I'm going to just tell you right now, you want to sign up for the February 10th kind of open house, which it's an open house, but it's online, right?
It's in person.
Oh, in
We are
person as
actually
well.
having people on campus. We'll be
Okay,
having a number of special visitors, and yeah, we'll be the president of the university is coming in, the deans are coming in, so it's going to be a spectacular event.
terrific. Well, Robert, it's been a real pleasure to chat with you about the program. Obviously, this is something that's new, it's exciting. And I always say, if you're a global citizen or want to be, what you want to do is you want to look for the big wave, right? So it's kind of like being a surfer. You're not going to do a lot of surfing off the coast in New Jersey. So you want to go and look for the big wave that you're going to ride. And clearly, one of the big waves in the world right now is the Middle East,
Yep.
where there will be a lot of opportunity cropping up, and there already has. And this is sort of an entry into that world. So again, it's a one-year MBA from January to December. It's based in Abu Dhabi with a summer term in New York City, which is really exciting. It's a 54 credit program, 6 7-week academic modules, along with an orientation program. And I think you guys put together a great program.
Thanks so much, John. I appreciate it.
All right. For all of you out there, thanks for watching. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants.